Good morning, welcome to Fat Cow Farm. Petter here. Now, a lot of you have been asking about the 1 year progression, about the paddock at the top of the property here, where we've put in all our keylines. And now that we've gone through spring and we're now into summer, I thought I would just touch base. And what we can see behind me is, you might be able to see sort of the lines running through. They're all the key lines. And what I wanted to do was now show you what's going on. Now, I'm pretty pumped up about all this, and there's a few things that I've sort of found along the way, which has really worked, and I'm super stoked. So what I'm going to do is we're going to turn the camera around so that we can have a proper look about what's going on. And also too, you know, like we were talking about, even a couple of months ago, about when we were planting those artichokes for the soil rejuvenation. And we were sort of a bit touch and go about, should we let the cows in, let it rest, whatever it may be. Anyway, so we've let the cows in, but have in mind also too that that was just a herd of 10. And these ones were the younger ones, so they've been separated from the older cows, and because they're all being mated at the moment. But so it was just a herd of 10, and to be honest, hasn't even touched the sides, which will now give this paddock a really good chance to not see anyone for, you know, another 3 to 4 months or 12 weeks. So it's really, that'll get us through summer, and hopefully we get a little bit of rain in between then, and then off we go. All right, so look, let me turn this camera around, and then we'll have a bit of a look about what's going on. So I'll see you soon. All right, so we've just turned this camera around, and basically what we're looking at is, you know, a spread between the two key lines. Now, as you can see, we've got quite a large green patch here and another one there. And what I'm finding is that as the water gets caught up into these key lines and sits behind and sort of makes it like it dams up and then has the chance to come back in and slowly seep through. What I'm thinking, because this is sort of one of the higher spots of the property, is that there must be a sort of a, you know, a soft soil area where the water can easily pass through, and hence this is why we've got some green spots. But really what we're looking at, and this is pretty much it's what's getting me a little bit excited, is that what we can see, there's that tinge of sort of yellow running through. Now what that is there is the grass that's already gone to seed. Now I'm just letting that do its thing, and because that happened, we did get hit with a fair bit of rain, sort of that, what was it, sort of end of spring sort of scenario, and basically what's happened is that when I came up to have a look, you know, we were getting a lot of pooling behind these key lines, and you know, so what was happening is that it was taking probably about half an hour or something like that, 20 minutes, to that water to absorb in, and which puts me onto the right track by saying that, you know, we're not having runoff anymore, and we're able to keep our soils, especially if we still have a little bit of, you know, non-grassed areas, especially where there's a lot of bull ants and things like that. They make those nests. But you know, apart from that, we're pretty much all covered up, and that's been one of the biggest things that I can see. Now I'm just going to see if I can turn around here, and we can see there's a wooded area behind me, and then obviously a fence. Previously, if we go back through the video diary, is that this whole area here was all just soil, bare soil, bare clay, and we're now achieving cover, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's not running off, and it's able to stay. You know, ideally what I do have is I do have another little key line just up there in front of that fence. So as the water comes out of the forest here, you know, that's all been held up. But it's all about trying to keep the water on the ground, and that's one thing that we've certainly noticed. And you know, as you can compare to one of the other paddocks on the other side there, you know, that's super green. And again, just natural. There's been no fertilizers or anything applied to this. And that's where I've been mulching all the blackberries. And all that organic matter is going back into the soil and things like that. And that's really turning on now. So, you know, it's really making a huge difference compared to this paddock. And, you know, like now that this paddock here is really going to be, or is, our worst paddock, and we have to manage this one quite well, especially with the cows and things like that. So what I'm going to do now is we'll go down to the other side, but you know, you can see we've got a lot of daisies that have come up, and they've got those long tap roots. So as the daisies die off, you know, they've got that the root that penetrates into the soil, and this is quite hard clay up here, that basically what we're looking at is that rots off, nutrients goes back into the soil, and water can run into those little holes. So we're sort of keeping the daisies. We're not changing anything at the moment. The cows eat the flowers. The camels absolutely love the flowers, and then we're just sort of trucking on from there. But we are seeing, compared to when we first bought the property, a decline in the daisies, and I'm putting that down to the fact that the grass is now overshadowing the daisy growth. So absolute detriment to my daughter, who loves making daisy chains. So, but anyway, there's still plenty around. All right, well, what I'll do is I'll go back further down, and we'll have a look back up, because I think that will give you a clearer picture about what's going on. All right, I'll see you soon. All right, so we're about halfway down the hill now. You can see that there's the header tank up there for the holding of all the water for the stock troughs. But again, what we've got here is we've got a keyline and a keyline, and this is probably one of the more shallower sections or narrower sections. We're probably looking at about 10 odd meters here, but generally they're about 20, and you can certainly see, you know, there's a lot of grass growth running through this section just in front of me. And then as we come back down, you know, it's a little bit sparse. But what I'm actually finding is that the cows are using the key lines as like a marker. So as an example, we've got this key line here, and what they do is they will graze through this patch in between the key lines, and then they sort of get to the end and go, oh yeah, all right, we'll come up this one, and then they'll walk back down this way. They don't tend to cross the keyline cuts, which I'm finding really quite interesting. Now maybe that's you know, natural habit of the cows, that there's sort of like an invisible barrier, but something that they can see. And to me, it looks like they've actually missed this one. So if you look at this one here, and that's a little bit further apart, you know, that might be around about 20. It's a lot. The cows have certainly grazed that one, but they've come into this one and they've sort of missed it. And, you know, it sort of gets a little bit longer, but also too, you know, having in mind that the country's a little bit steeper here. But so I'm finding that quite interesting to, you know, just the attitude of the cows. Now also too, you know, where I'm standing, there's quite a few cow paddies here, and I was kicking one around the other day, and so this one here, just going to see if I can, now pretty much what's happening, oh, I've gone too deep now, but what's happening is that we have so many beetles. You know, a lot of these cow paddies, as soon as you take off that sort of hard skin, the whole thing's alive, and it's all about the beetles. So, you know, we didn't have a lot of dung beetles when we first got here, and, you know, I had cow paddies staying around for quite a long period of time. Let's see. You know, so you can see that one there, it's just all just moving. It's all just alive. And, you know, they're burrowing into the soil and taking all the cow patties or all the nutrients from these cow patties basically into the soil. And, you know, if you do a little bit of homework and find out that, you know, mass grazing on smaller plots really works. And I can see that it does. You know, we just don't have the provisions for that to work. But if you imagine, you know, a heap of cows in a small area for 1 or 2 days and then moving them on, the amount of, or the concentration of dung or cow poo or whatever you want to call it would actually be insane. And then bringing all those bugs and taking all the nutrients into the soil. I mean, really at the end of the day, that is an absolute cracker. I mean, it works, absolutely works. So with us, you know, and having 8 cows in this paddock, and this paddock here would be, oh geez, probably about, the most of them on average around about 25 to 30 acres, I suppose. They're not really making an indent. But what we're focusing on is trying to rest the paddocks as much as we possibly can and just pass the cows through every week. And that's really a part of our rotational grazing. And then as our herd gets larger and larger and larger, I think that we'll find an exponential growth pattern starting to appear where, you know, I might be able to do electric fence section off, smash the cows in, you know, maybe not having them in for a week, or still have them in for a week, but have it over, you know, say 3.5 days, 4 days, and then move them on to the other side. And then sort of then they're forced to eat the sections and really put all their dung down. You know, so like here's another one just standing next to me. This one looks a little bit older. I'll just try and get out of the shadow. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, you know, so like, the whole thing is, the whole cow patty is just alive. And what we're finding is, you know, the cow patties only last, geez, maybe let's say a week. And then they're all gone. And, you know, you think that you've got all that nutrients going back into the soil. That's absolutely fantastic. All right, so what we'll do is I'll head further down again. Just while we're looking here, you can see I've got a swale running through here behind that stock trough, and what I'm like, you know, as a part of the whole repairing side of things, that's not filling up as much anymore. So I'm only getting about 1/3 of catchment going into those swales, unlike previously. Is now that I've got these keylines in place, I'm holding up a lot more water in the higher sections of the paddock, and I can sort of see a little bit of a variance. So you can sort of see in that area there, that's very yellow. So that's a paddock that's still got that's 3 weeks before I've got the main herd of cows going in, and they'll just demolish that and then move them on again. So it's all about sort of just resting the paddocks, get the cows in, get them out, let it rest again, and off we go. All right, so, but as you can see, you know, it's very green. I've got green spots. I've got the browner spots are where the grass seeds have already gone to seed, so they've already started to dry off. And but we're still doing all right. We're still doing all right. All right, I'll move again, and we'll see you soon. All right, so here we are again, and we're looking back up with the paddock with all the keylines. Now, you can sort of see the keylines running through, but certainly where the lines are, you can certainly see there's a lot of green in between as we sort of progress back up. And it's a bit awkward with the sun here, but overall as a paddock itself, and a part of rejuvenating this particular paddock, the keylines have certainly worked. And what I'm, like I said before, what I'm really interested in is actually holding up that water and using that water to actually soak into the ground. And I'm thinking, you know, yes, we've only just started summer, but as a part of what I can see around me in the area, it's looking really good, really good. And so and it sort of continues right around, and then the paddocks are looking okay. So yeah, look, I mean, we'll go up and have a bit of a closer look, but where those key lines are, and I think this is something I'll do for next time I start doing the key lines, I'm just going to put a green cover on, or grass seed or something, because they're the only areas where we've disturbed the root line so much that we have basically still just dirt. I mean, in there are areas where we've got green cover coming through and everything's doing really well, but then I've got other areas where I still just have exposed dirt. So you can see like exposed dirt just behind me on the backside of this swale. So I'm standing in front of that swale, and if I just have a quick look around, yeah, so this is the low side of that swale, where obviously it's only just clay. There's nothing in it unless I spend some time on actually getting that squared away, and that will come, because that swale still needs to be fenced off completely, and we'll turn that into a natural habitat running through, with trees on both sides, and that will then bring back a lot of that growth that we've been missing. All right, so again, we'll go check out the other side over near the water pump house, and it looks exactly the same, but I'll just give you an idea of what's going on. All right, so I'll see you soon. All right, so this is what I thought I would show you, and you can see the green spots running through, and that's obviously where it's been grazed, and then the brown, they're all the seed heads, and so that's the seed heads off the grass where they haven't been grazed, so where it's a little bit longer. But looking through, it's just amazing about what's actually happening here. Now, I'm not sure if I can't really see, it all just looks a little bit brown on the camera, but there's certainly like the areas where, like I was saying before, where they've grazed, that's just kept short. Seeds haven't come up, and we go from there. But also, like now with the seeds are coming through, we're getting more cover, we're getting more cover, we're getting more cover. So it's really starting to come together down here, and you really can't see. Oh yeah, there's one here, another one there, so, and then they just run back up the hill. All right, so a year on, and basically, what we're dealing with now is I am like super stoked that it's really coming into this sort of condition. And I would think that this paddock won't know itself. If we give this another 2 or 3 years of the same sort of method, I think that just before or in autumn, I'll go back over these key lines in a separate spot. So in between these key lines, I'll run a new key line running through and let these old ones just sort of die off, and then just keep on repeating year after year after year after year. Because in my opinion, I can now sort of really confidently put cows into this paddock, and they can stay a week. I've got enough growth, grass growth for that, and off we go. So we can see as we come through. So I've got this natural corridor coming here. That's the back of the goat paddocks. This is the swale in front of me. I've got all the crazy sheep. All our Dorper sheep are sitting in there in the shade. But if you look at this, like this swale here, super dry. And again, we are getting cover now. So you can see on top of the swale, we're getting a lot of good cover. The bottom, not so much, because that's, on a rain event, that just floods up and then holds it all together, and then just sort of seeps back through into this paddock here. But it's the way that it's all coming together is certainly the way to do it. And I think once we fence this one off, and have it like the ones that we've got further down, this whole area here will give us an opportunity to start planting out more fruit trees and you know, especially the deciduous, and get those nutrients back into the ground from the leaf matter, and then we can go from there. Not sure if you can pick it up, but the little pump houses down there. We've got the dam or the lake sitting up on the other side. So yeah, but anyway, look, I think that, you know, like a lot of people were yelling out, has it worked, hasn't it worked? And to be honest, you know, once it all went through, I was like, oh geez, you know, I'm not seeing that growth that I was expecting, but it took time. And you know, here we are a year on, and absolutely fantastic. And it will only now start getting better and better and better. But even things like, you know, with all the dung beetles coming out of the ground, like there's a lot of life now being sort of stored into these soils. And so as soon as those cow patties hit the ground, they're just consumed, absolutely smashed out. So it's all good. All right, so for all about keyline cuts and 1 year on, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.